Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Niner Sickness Podcast, as we will be talking 49ers versus Arizona Cardinals tonight. We will be talking the good and the bad. We're going to discuss both teams. I have a special guest. He is a Cardinals fan, so we'll get his perspective as a fan about his team, which direction his team is going. But before we do that, please do me a favor and wipe your feet before entering and smash that like button for your boy Niner Sickness. I would appreciate it. So look forward to this guest, wonderful guest. This guy knows his football. He loves his team. His team is not doing too good this year. We'll see which direction the teams go. But let me introduce you to our guest right after this. And let's welcome my guest, Marcos, Arizona Cardinals fan. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great. Thank you for coming and being guest on my show. Appreciate to have you. Let me acknowledge all those that are coming in first. Cowboy Angel, welcome to the channel. We have Mariah 49er Lee. Welcome, Don Dodson's in the house. We got Stebo Supremo. We got Luis Moreno, JBX, Y, 4N9's in the house. Eric Velez is in the house. How you doing? Wallace is in the house. Welcome. So, Marcus, once again, thank you for being a guest. Man, our teams are definitely going in two different directions this year. Before we get started, I just want to get your thoughts as a fan of this year. What are your whole thoughts of this? What have you taken out of this whole year personally as a fan?
Just actually, not just as a fan of my team, but as a fan of football, taking in a lot of knowledge, like trying to get more of the nuance of the game, and also getting to know all the little intricacies that make the game what it is and stuff. So yeah, I've had the pleasure of being able to not only expand my knowledge when it comes to that, but also just be able to like get more understanding, and also just not just jumping the gun when it comes to like watching like my game at first. I don't do anything until I watch the film, and that's when I make my assessment. So that's now what I'm proud to say is like my knowledge of the game has, like, it just in a couple months it's risen pretty high. So like, yeah, it's giving me a better view and better perspective.
Good, man. Good to know. 187, welcome to the channel. We got JR Meadows in the house. What's up, my brother? Welcome. Listen, before we continue on, I just want to break some good news that has come out in the NFL regarding safety. DeMar Hamilton, for what I've been reading and hearing, that he's awake. He's woken up, and he's not able to talk yet because of the breathing machine, but he's able to write and communicate. And not funny, but funny enough, one of the first words that came out of his writing was, "Who won the game?" This is how much he loves football. This is how much football is part of him. And I'm glad he's doing well. So I wanted to bring that up and start off that in a great note that he's recovering well. Continue to pray for him. Prayers do work, whether you believe in prayer or not. They work, man. So continue to lift the young man. He is doing well as we speak. Um, let's get into our first question, my friend, and let's talk. Scott, welcome. We got Damian Lee in the house. We got Scott in the house. Let's go ahead and ask the first question. Tell all the 49er faithful who's your fourth string quarterback, and should the Niners be concerned this Sunday with him?
Well, I feel more comfortable if Colt McCoy was in because, I mean, remember last time we played you guys with Colt McCoy, he actually led us to that victory. But David Blau, I still haven't gotten to that part of the film yet with trying to figure out like whether or not like he's making some accurate throws. But from what I saw from the game, he was able to actually push the ball down the field, and he made some pretty impressive throws. Um, as far as like if you guys should be concerned with him, I mean, we're going up against what I think is the number one defense right now in the league, right? You guys own the number one defense.
Yes.
So like so far, sorry, my kid's in the background over
No
there.
worries.
Anyways, yeah, so that's going to be a tough task because it's not like he's going to go ahead and face the Atlanta Falcons defense, which is kind of suspect. We're going to go up against that front four, and then the two guys or the three guys in the middle of the field, which is Fred Warner, Greenlaw, and I forget who your other linebacker is, but
Aziz?
obviously, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, that's going to be a tough test. Whoever's going to be going up against him, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. We have great linebackers. Um, this week against the Raiders that we just played, our defense definitely got tested. The Niners
Hmm.
went in there trying to figure out who this kid is. Stidham, Jared Stidham coming in replacement of Derek Carr, who was benched. Whether the Niners looked a lot of film on this kid or not, he came in, pretty much lit up our defense. I wouldn't say too much exposed. I think the Niners defense kind of their eye discipline wasn't really there in the secondary, and they gave up some great plays. And then when you're playing someone against like a Devontae Adams, regardless if you have the number one defense or not, it's always going to be hard to cover such a stud receiver like him. And you guys have one of yourself in DeAndre. Now, I heard he's not going to be playing this game. I heard they shut him down because of his injury. And I understand why. I mean, this game really, whether you win or lose, it doesn't change anything in the direction of your status. If I'm not mistaken, you guys are already out of the playoffs, correct?
Yeah, we're way out. I think we've been out for like a couple weeks now.
Okay, so so this guy that you guys have, I'm hoping that he doesn't pull a Jared Stidham on us and starts, lighting us up for another 500 yards, the way the Raiders did. The good thing is that our third string quarterback in Brock Purdy, which I would have never thought of it. I'm pretty sure other fans neither, that a third string quarterback or a seventh round Mr. Irrelevant, if you will come into an offense and play this well and not make those rookie mistakes, not play like a rookie. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're potentially going to be a Hall of Famer. A lot of times when you come in and you're a rookie, you're overwhelmed. Everything that's happening overwhelms you. The pressure of the defenses, the play calling of the defensive coordinator, what he's throwing, what schemes. And a lot of these young quarterbacks gets overwhelmed with a lot of things that's going on because they're just thrown in there. I don't know if you've seen a lot of film of the Niners or not. I understand if you haven't, but the little bit you heard or seen of this kid, Brock Purdy, what are your thoughts personally of what you've seen of him, not just what you heard?
Well, it's already impressive that he's got like the top like film analysts already making videos about him. Alex, so I think Alex Rollins and Brett Coleman have both made like videos pertaining to Brock Purdy, and of course we all know that nickname that they gave him. So I mean, other than
What's the
that, like
nickname?
I mean, I don't want to say it on here. I can't.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
one of those.
It starts
Okay.
with a B. Yeah,
Oh, got
it's
it, got it,
big.
got it. Yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, I guess he was somebody that kind of had like some of our Cardinals fan base. There's one person in particular. He said he was looking at Brock Purdy. He said he might be good in Cliff Kingsbury's system. Obviously, when it comes to Kyle Shanahan's system, it's supposed to be a like take the responsibility off the quarterback as much as possible and put him in a position where he can execute more so than than not than asking him to do too much, which is the reason why it seems like quarterbacks can kind of like slide into the system and then pick it up pretty well and then grow from it. Especially like I said, he uses a lot of motion, so he does that in order to be able to get free releases for his wide receivers, in order for him to be able to like make throws down the field and whatnot, or at the sideline between the numbers, wherever. So I'm just really impressed because what everybody's kind of coming to the same conclusion is that Brock Purdy is that he's a version of Jimmy without the mistakes.
That's interesting. Yeah, a lot of people, Brock Purdy coming in, myself included, thought, okay, he just a little bit of an upgrade over Jimmy G. And it's funny, it's ironic that Jimmy G being a vet, being I forgot how many years that he's been in the NFL, he still makes rookie mistakes. And that, now you have a rookie who is not making rookie mistakes, but making vet moves. And what I mean by that is certain games that the Niners have played, the decision making that he makes, the way he reads the defense, the way he processes, the way he commands the huddle, the way he has awareness of who's coming, and getting the ball rid of the ball where he needs to, and not getting a sack or taking a sack and not forcing an INT. So this kid is definitely showing some. Now against the Raiders, he did show a little bit of why he was drafted in the 7th round. Couple of those throws were not strong enough to get where they needed to go, because that interception that took place with Brock was attempted to throw it to George Kittle. It was, I give it, the safety made a play. I'm not going to take away from the safety, but it was more that Brock could not get it there fast enough, because if he would have got it a little bit faster, I think that would have been a great play to a Gronk. And that's one of the little things that make him get drafted where he's at. But if I recall, Marcus, and see if you can help me here, Tom Brady, and I'm not comparing Brock to Tom Brady, but I'm just saying Tom Brady, when he came into the league, a 6th round quarterback, after I think he sat on the bench for 3 years, when after he came in took over for Bledsoe, he didn't have the strongest arm. He wasn't as accurate, and
Nope.
he began to develop that with time. And we know what Tom Brady is today. Now, I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is going to 7 Super Bowls, blah, 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 but the things that he lacks in can be taught. He can train his mechanics to be better, but the awareness of the pocket, Marcus, the ability to understand that the pressure is coming, that clock that goes in your head that tells you to get rid of the ball quickly, those things you can't teach. Either you got it or you don't. And this kid is showing a lot of poise. He's showing that he can be a quarterback that can lead this team. I mean, people, the analysis out there are still saying the Niners are the favorite to make it to the Super Bowl. And this is with a 3rd string quarterback. When was the last time you heard a team, regardless of how good the the defense and running game is, be favorites to make the Super Bowl with a 3rd string quarterback?
I don't think I've heard that. I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah. Um, so it's gonna be a shootout between our quarterback and your quarterback. This kid that you have, could he possibly be the future, or is he someone that just for depth, for exactly like now that you guys are down to your, I believe he's your 4th quarterback, right?
Yes, yeah.
So is he? Is there anything you like about him that you want to see in this game to potentially say, man, we can roll with him, or do you think he's just someone that will always be a backup in your opinion?
Well, I'll always make it a case that you can't count on anybody, no matter how far in the depth chart they are, because it actually just takes more, like you were saying, like poise. That's something that you can't teach. There's some things that like come to a quarterback instinctually, and some things that they work hard on. So, like with the case with David Blau is like like I said, he had a pretty good game. He showed a lot of not just it's not just with the poise, but just wanting to push the ball down the field. Um, but like I can't really give him a proper assessment just yet because I haven't gone to the all 22 on that yet. I'm doing this thing where I'm going game by game, so I'll be able to give you a way better assessment on him once I'm done with that. And that's a rule that I make now. But as far as David Blau, the thing is that he's also in a situation where this is going to be possibly his last game in this system with this coach. Is there a chance we might bring him back for next year? Yeah, there is a chance. Just to have him for depth. Do we know what the system's going to be like? Or is he going to be another year with Cliff Kingsbury? Probably not. Whoever's coming over, what are they going to bring offensively wise? I mean, I'm sure if it's Sean Payton, like he's going to have that quick surgical type of like that offense that like Drew Brees, specialize in and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe he can carry the torch in that aspect till Kyler Murray takes the helm. Um, but I mean, I feel pretty good about him. I do.
Okay, that's good. Is Connor going to be running the ball for you guys on Sunday, or is he going to be hold out? Held out, excuse me.
I think Connor's gonna be out. I don't think he played much. From what I saw, he wasn't really even getting utilized in this last game, and I think we had our fourth string running back. What I would like to see is Keontae Ingram get some snaps in there. I mean, they got that's the rookie, and it was the rookie with the high upside, and we barely even seen him, and he actually hasn't been showing and popping off the screen and whatnot. So I want to see him more in there. He's a combination of what Connor brings with the size, and also he has a little shiftiness to him. So hopefully we see a lot of Keontae, but Connor's not. I don't think he's going to play.
Interesting. Now, with DeAndre Hopkins not playing in this game because of his injury, and like I said earlier, why would he play? You guys really have nothing to gain other than him getting hurt even more. Who is the next man up on that team? Is Brown? What has he done for your team this year? Was he a good trade from your perspective as a fan?
In my opinion, I mean the fan base will tell you something different, but in my opinion, I think we did an overpay. I didn't like the trade. And the reason why I don't like the trade is because you give up a first rounder for a guy that's gonna go into like his contract season pretty soon. I mean, he only has like we picked up his 5th year option, so more than likely wide receivers, especially those who have that type of leverage, want their contract before they get to their last year. So that's a possibility. Then we might have to sign him to extension. Of course, Steve Keim is possibly not going to be the GM anymore. So whoever comes in and whoever takes over, they might say, "Well, I wasn't the one who made the trade, and like you don't have any leverage over me because I wasn't the one who made the deal. I'm okay with you know us wasting that first rounder." Do I like him? I do from what I've seen. His issue is just too many crucial drops. So that's my problem with him. Of course, he's been injured as well, and I will stick by this. It was an appeasement. They did that to maybe try to at that time, Kyler Murray didn't have his contract signed yet. So maybe to just kind of be like, hey, Kyler, don't worry. We're going to take care of you this year. Let's not we'll get to the contract when we get to it. But hey, in the meantime, instead of drafting a wide receiver in the first round, which we didn't get the ones that we wanted, we brought your best friend from OU. So he's shown some good. He needs to play more snaps. He was injured he was out too often this year, and he's got like that hand situation, which is what worried me. He's got to be able to like hold on and catch the ball in crucial catches. He has made some, but he also has dropped some.
Interesting. I love your take on that. Let's move on to the next topic, my friends. Is can you tell the faithful who the biggest threat is going to be on your team that's going to be on Sunday for our team and why? Who should we watch out for? There's maybe a player that we're not aware of.
Well, I think you guys are aware of this guy, but the biggest threat is J.J. Watt, as he's emphatically the MVP of this defense. I love what he's accomplished so far with our team this year. I mean, he missed. I think he missed the first game of the season. That's it. So he's played a full 16. This next game against the 49ers, it'll be the full 16 season. So basically, he played a full season. Like, I mean, now it's 17 games. I realize that, but he's put together 10 and a half sacks as an interior defensive end, and they have used him on the edge, which is what I really like. I like seeing him on the edge with in his 4 point well, with all fours on the ground, rushing from a 4 point stance. I guess that's what you would call it, or a 3 point stance. So he is the biggest threat. He's the biggest disruptor. Zach Allen has followed suit as well. So both those guys are two guys to look out for. I believe you guys are still playing to win, so you guys are gonna have that. You guys are gonna bring your A game to this game, and the Cardinals are of course gonna try to play spoiler because we're rivals. That's what they do. Um, I think our secondary is kind of lacking, so that's where we might have our problems. But for now, what I would say is like those two guys are pretty much the two to look for.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, and JJ Watt, I always had respect for him. I love what he when he came to Houston, the year that we drafted Aldon Smith. We kind of did not take JJ. I would have preferred JJ than Aldon Smith that year, but not because of what happened to Aldon Smith. I just thought JJ was a better. But we'll never know because Aldon Smith never got the chance to finish his career strong because of his off the field issues. But that is something that definitely we have to look out. The good thing is we have a good offensive line this year. A lot of people question the 49ers offensive line. Could this offensive line gel together? Is Mike McClinchy going to be the Mike McClinchy that we all love and hate about him? We're starting a new rookie at right guard, and Spencer Buford. And then we're starting basically a rookie. He's not a rookie in the NFL, but he was a rookie for us in Brundle at center. And then we started a second year guard at left, but he really is a rookie because he didn't play much his first year. And Aaron Banks, and then Trent Williams, which we all know is arguably the best left tackle in football. But we don't know how these players were going to gel together. And so far, Aaron Banks has been phenomenal. Now, it looks like he's not going to play against your team because he got hurt. And it looked like it was worse than it really was. And good for the Niner fans that he should be ready to go start the wild card weekend. But he's going to miss. But we do have a Burford that has gained a lot of experience. They have Brentford. And then we have Mike McClinchy who took care of Crosby last week, which is arguably one good defensive end right behind Nick Bosa. And we held them to 0 sacks. They returned the favor, though. They held us to 0 sacks as well against their quarterback. But it's going to be exciting to see what happens in this game. The Niners do need to win. You have mentioned that earlier. They do need to win because they're in the second seed right now. Now, Philadelphia, as we all know, and I know you've been watching ESPN or wherever you get your information for football, NFL Network, is that if the Eagles lose to the Giants and the Niners beat the Cardinals, we will be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. And there is a possibility that the Giants play the Eagles very well. They're also a division game. Now, the Giants have nothing to really play for. Whether they win or lose, they're already locked in the 6th seed of the NFC. So a lot of people are wondering, are they going to play? Are they going to rest their players or not? We have to wait and see. Are the Eagles going to play Jalen Hurd? Is he going to come back and play or he isn't? Those are the things that are in question. But we are in the second seed due to the fact that Minnesota, which I think they're frauds, lost to the Green Bay Packers, and now we're sitting in second seed. Now, if we want to remain there, okay, is we have to defeat you guys. Now, I believe that the Niners and Eagles play at the same time, so we're going to kind of be looking at the scoreboard as the game goes on. We'll find out if Minnesota loses earlier because they play an earlier game. If they lose, we're automatically in the number 2 seed no matter what happens with our game. So that'll be interesting to see what the Niners do. Now, my CMC might not play. I think they might take it easy. He's looked good today in practice, but he is kind of dealing with a ankle sprain, and so they kind of monitor him day by day. But we are getting Debo back in this game. We are getting back Elijah Mitchell back for this game. And we're going to, I don't know how many snaps they're going to have, but I think this is going to be a game where they're going to bring him in to kind of get them ready for the playoffs. Your team, I believe, is going to be without their safety. I can't think of his name. Baker?
Buda Baker.
Buda Baker, yes. Buda Baker. Is that correct? Is he going to be playing or is he out?
I'm not sure. I think they're just going to keep him out. I think he was done for the season. That's the news that I got. They were playing a lot of Isaiah Simmons at safety, so I think that's what's going to happen this game.
Isaiah, now that you mentioned that name, I didn't expect him to go to your team. I like that kid ever since from college. How has he done for your team, and how much are you pleased with him so far, or are you, if at all, pleased with him as an addition to your Cardinals?
Oh, I'm extremely pleased with him, especially with the type of progressions that he's done all year, or every single year since he's been in the NFL from his rookie year, where the play happened, of course, the 76-yard touchdown. I think it was what is it? The old running back that you guys used to have.
Frank Gore?
What was it? No, it was no. I'm sorry, not old. He was your guys' he was number 31, your guys' stable for like a few years, and then
Raheem
he went to
Mostert? Raheem
Miami.
Mostert?
There you go, Raheem Mostert. Yeah, Raheem Mostert is the reason why he sent him to the bench that year with that 76-yard touchdown run. But anywho, last year he surpassed 100 tackles. He was playing mostly at inside linebacker, switching from there to edge and stuff. And this year, I don't know what's going on with Vance Joseph and what his acumen and what he's thinking, but he's playing mostly in the slot now. He's positioning him against 5'10", 5'11" shifty receivers. And I get that Isaiah Simmons is an athlete and he's a freak, but he's still 238 to 240 pounds. He's still very top heavy. If you look at his body build, that's what you see. And there's a lot of plays where he's either getting turned around or he's kind of losing his balance. Well, that's because he's going up. He's not shifting himself. He's not the drop your butt, get your feet square type of linebacker. He's more of like a defensive back who's kind of overgrown. So he has high, like his center of gravity's high, and I just don't get it. He's surviving in the slot for now because of his athleticism, and Vance Joseph plays all of our defensive backs off ball, so that kind of gives him that cushion to be able to stay on top of plays. But it's been a misutilized year, and even so, he's been one of our top playmakers on defense. So I just really hope, like I said, I'm praying for D'Amico Ryans for you guys to go ahead and let him walk, and us for us to sign him, because I see the work that he's doing with Fred Warner and Greenlaw, and I just can't wait to see if he is our next head coach, unless of course Sean Payton comes over, which in any case Vance Joseph would be out the door, and that would make me happy already. But just to see the type of work that he would do with these linebackers that we have on our team with Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons, who I'm proud of both of them. Like I said, I think I mentioned this in I think it was like our first or second episode where I said our defense might not be good, but we're going to be a playmaking defense. That's exactly what we've had. A bunch of plays being made.
Yeah, the D'Amico Ryans, man. I think, like I told you earlier before we went live, I think this guy is going to be a great head coach. Um, a lot of time people get into the should you hire an offensive coordinator, should you hire a defensive coordinator, which is better results as a head coach. Personally, myself is a man that knows how to lead other men. If you are a
Hmm.
leader, if you are a motivator, if you can have men buy into what you're selling, makes a great head coach, in my opinion. You can always bring in, if you're a defensive coordinator, you can always bring an offensive coordinator in mind, or vice versa. But you have to be a leader. And this, D'Amico Ryans, that's one of the qualities he does bring to the table. Is I do believe if he does go to the Cardinals and becomes your head coach, that he will immediately make an impact to your organization from a leadership standpoint. People will start to buy into what he's selling because he demands that type of respect as an individual. He's a great leader, and your Sam Simmons would really flourish under his leadership there. But I don't want him to go to Arizona because I don't want to face D'Amico Ryans twice a year. You know what I mean? So from the south, I understand that he will make you guys a great team, but from that standpoint, I'm like, no, go somewhere else. Don't go to Arizona. But if he does, I understand why he would go there. You know, but with that said, is Kyler Murray? I want to transition to this. Is Kyler Murray your future? Is he your present, your future? Is he someone that D'Amico Ryans, if he does go to your squad, can keep and win games with? In your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Kyler Murray has all the talent in the world. His issue is that like he hasn't taken that next step, and I'm talking about himself. So a lot of what the fan base and a lot of what the media members will tell you is that like he needs to be coached up to that point. But that's not why you're a first overall pick. You're a first overall pick because you're expected to be that person like without needing so much gathered around you. Basically, you're the person that makes everybody better around you, not the opposite way. And it seems like that's what we need to do with Kyler Murray. Oh, we have to give him a great head coach. We have to give him a great offensive line. We have to give him great receivers. We have to. And I'm like, when does it get to the point where Kyler Murray is the one who does that for everybody? I mean, like I get it. You do need support. But how many quarterbacks in the league make their receivers better? Why do they make their receivers better? Because they're able to make those throws under pressure, because they're able to do the pinpoint accuracy, because they're able to come up to the offensive line, gather everybody, and say, hey, we're going to do this. This is the play call we're going to make. Hey, you need to get out of your break. Make sure that DB does not put hands on you, or if he's over the top, make sure you cut your route short. You know, the type of person that's out there leading the team, but that's not what's expected from us. And I'm like, why do we select him first overall if he's not going to have those qualities in him? So I am very critical of him because I know he has these things that he can do and these type of things that he can put together in order to be the future of this organization. He can be the future, but that's going to be all up to him. If we get rid of Cliff Kingsbury, the excuses 100%. I mean, to me, the excuses went out the window once he got the big contract. But once Cliff Kingsbury gets fired and somebody else gets brought in, the excuses go out the table. It's like, hey, everybody's trying to give you everything that you need. We got your best friend. We got you. I mean, offensive line wise, we could do way better. That's for sure. That's hopefully the reason why, bringing in another general manager would hopefully fix that problem. We got you at least the weapons, and I do believe that we can use another big, lengthy, fast receiver. Hopefully, we can draft one or whatever. But like I said, it all comes down to Kyler at the end of the day. When I watched the all 22, uh, I've seen him bail out of the pocket too soon. I've seen his vision kind of get like uh, when the offensive line kind of backs into him or the defensive line creates a wall in front of him or a barrier, he'll bail out of the pocket, leaving throws on the field. And I have seen him miss some wide open throws. And one of the things he's not doing anymore, he's not keeping his eyes downfield when he bails from the pocket. Hopefully, his time being out, he'll review the film, he'll do some self assessments, and hopefully that'll make him better. It's like I said, time will tell, and it's all down to Kyler Murray at the end of the day.
That's a very interesting take, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I like him. I always liked him as a quarterback. I just, a lot of the discipline of him, signing that contract about him not really in his playbook and playing video games or whatever. He's a young kid, and young kids are gonna, everyone grows up a little bit different. Everyone takes their position a little bit different. You have a Brock Purdy who is just turned 23. He's in his book. He's doing his thing. You have Kyler Murray that is a young quarterback, and he's not really into his book, so they say. But it's not to say that Kyler Murray is not going to be a great quarterback. It's just some quarterbacks mature a little bit different or a little bit slower than others. But at the end of the day, or their career, they can be great players for their prospective teams. So I wish Kyler Murray the best, and I wish him the best on your team, except on 2 games every year. Those games he can be terrible. Other than that, he can be great. So let me ask you. Well, hold on. Let me get this one out of the way. In your opinion, why does this organization and team struggle so much each year to make progress and become a contender? Every year, there's aspirations of, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to do, and you guys can either start hot and then fizzle out, or start slow and just continue to get worse. What is the struggles for this team?
Well, the number one was just like we were always being hampered down by horrible like general manager, by a general manager who just made some questionable moves or just doesn't make the right moves in order to put us in place to succeed and stuff, whether it's with like making sure we have enough depth or making sure we have like for example, this season alone, I mean that offensive line is decimated. We really don't have any depth and that in the offensive line, which is why we have like 4 or 5. I think it's like four of our offensive linemen. Actually, no, actually 3 of our offensive linemen are now just like practice squad to like third or second string like offensive linemen. That's not who you want protecting your quarterback. And so that's one of the issues. Another issue is like not knowing his own players and his own strengths. So for example, Kyler Murray likes to target the boundary more than anything. Most of the reason why is because he can't, like, it's hard for him to target over the middle of the field. I mean, I know that the size doesn't always make or break that situation, but it is true about him. And it's true about like other quarterbacks as well. Like Jalen Hurts is the same way. His heat map is very similar. So is Tua's. They just like working the boundary more often. So if you have a quarterback that works the boundary, what our general manager should have done is like worked on that strength instead of giving them 5'10", like 4'3", 4'3", 4'2", 40-yard time receivers. Like, why didn't he give him like a physical, tall, lengthy receiver? For example, like I was pulling for CeeDee Lamb. I'm still gonna go on the record to say that I think Isaiah Simmons is still, or he's still the right pick in my opinion. But CeeDee Lamb was the type of person that represented exactly what Kyler Murray needed. So even after that year, we had DK Metcalf that we could have selected, and he chose to select Andy Isabella, like just because of the speed, just because of the whole factor of him being able to get out of his breaks like really well and being able to like, you know, we all know how that worked out. Like him and Kyler Murray never developed any chemistry. Meanwhile, DK Metcalf is like lining it up over there in Seattle. So, and year after year, it just seems like the same type of prototypical wide receiver is right there that we should draft. And instead, he either passes up on the wide receiver or just drafts another speedster. I mean, Rondell Moore is our. There's that joke when we made the trade for Hollywood Brown that all of our receivers are like 5'11", or I mean 5'9" or 5'10". So we have a team of Smurfs, and so that's just something that like defenses catch up to, or eventually defenses know this and they figured this out going this year, which is what really hampered this offense. Is just that those targets on the outside now are just being used as more so yak machines, where we're trying to get him in space to be able to make moves and then be able to get the yardage without having to throw down the field to them because they're not the type of receivers that are going to get up and get the ball, or they're going to out physical somebody, or they're just going to make any moves until DeAndre Hopkins, came back. He's the only one that seems to be able to have that skill set, and we should have had more than that. So our offensive line being decimated, our skill position players not being the type that would help our quarterback, and on top of that, just holding the coaches accountable. I mean, like on one side, you have a defensive coordinator who refuses to play the people that he's drafting. So he's trying to get him the people to help him succeed, but this guy does not want to draft and develop. No, he doesn't want to develop these players in order for them to be able to be impactful. Instead, he opts to play people who have more of years in the league and stuff, or people that he feels comfortable with, and that in itself doesn't help our draft picks develop into those players that could become impact players, as we've seen year after year. He doesn't hold them accountable, and yet he's just comfortable with letting this guy make him look stupid for drafting these players to begin with. Because then people say, well, he's just a horrible drafter. Well, it's like, no, that's not the case. These people can be able to contribute, and they have shown they can contribute, but our defensive coordinator does not, for some reason, have the acumen to want to have patience in these guys and develop them and allow them to flourish. So those are just some of the things that have plagued our team year after year. Just bad decisions, passing up on players that we definitely shouldn't have passed up on, or just making just weird decisions, like I said, trading a first rounder for a wide receiver who's probably going to need a new contract coming up soon. That trade would look good if Mike J. Sanders pans out, but other than that, like, you put yourself in a tough spot. And also giving the extension to your quarterback, and on top of that, having so much cap hit from your other receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. So it's just cap space hell when it comes to like going into the future. Like, we have so many players we have to pay, and we're that money is going to run pretty like low when that 45 million a year hits, on top of having a wide receiver who's going to probably getting demand like 20 million, and we don't even know what to do with DeAndre, because DeAndre is there's a lot of rumors saying that he wants to leave.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever a team goes into a situation where they're changing coaches and the front office is changing, and then you're dealing with a lot of cap hit, where's the money going to be allocated to? A lot of players like a DeAndre Hopkins has to think for himself, like, is my future here? Can I win a Super Bowl here? Or do I have to go elsewhere? And those things do rise up. Real quick, Marcus, I'm going to go into have the viewers ask you questions that are football related, and then you can answer them accordingly. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so our first question, everybody that wants to ask a question for Marcus, football related, of course, go ahead and put the Q before your question, and then we'll go ahead and bring it up to the table. It says here, Damian Lee says, do you think your team needs a Sean Payton type, or can you develop a Kyler Murray, or who can develop Kyler Murray, or do you think to reset the button? Or
Well,
reset
in
is
my
better.
opinion, yeah. In my opinion, I think a reset would be better. Mostly because of the fact that I think we have to give up. We're for sure probably going to have to give up that first round pick, and that first round pick is going to be, I think, the number 4 pick, unless things go in our favor. Maybe we might have the number 2. So that's a lot to ask for. I think Sean Payton also had made some comments about like how we should stop drafting non-prototypical quarterbacks in the first round. He said unless the guy can walk on water, we should get away from drafting those type of quarterbacks. So there's some chance that maybe he's not looking so fondly at Kyler Murray. Maybe a reset would be better in order for us to like be able to like help develop Kyler Murray better. But at the same time, I'm not I'm not gonna shoot down the idea that like Sean Payton like wouldn't be able to develop Kyler Murray. I think he definitely could help develop Kyler Murray. So In my opinion, I would go for a reset, but Sean Payton, I think, would be better for Kyler Murray's development.
Great answer. Thank you. And then we have a question from Dawn Dodson. She says, do you think your team is afraid to get sacked by Bosa?
Well, here, this is what I'm going to say first and foremost. I was in 2019, I was really pulling for us to draft Nick Bosa, mostly because I knew that you guys were going to pick him up as a second overall pick. I'm like, we pass up on this guy, the 49ers are just going to pick him up, and we're going to have to deal with him. As far as Nick Bosa is concerned, Cliff Kingsbury has used a, a couple of methods to try to neutralize Nick Bosa. I remember there's a few times where he'd have Larry Fitzgerald chip him, and Larry Fitzgerald would chip him so hard that he would knock him on the ground sometimes. I don't know who that chip man would be. I guess it would be Trey McBride. But he has made it a main focus to try to give any tackle that's on his side some help. Um, I don't like. I think I'm more afraid of Fred Warner and these situations than I am like Nick Bosa. Even though I love Nick Bosa, I think the main focus is going to be try to do whatever we can to neutralize him, either with double teams or chip help.
Awesome. Yeah. Fred Warner is definitely a player that arguably one of the best middle linebacker in the NFL. I believe we have the best trio of linebackers in Aziz, Greenlaw, and Fred Warner in the NFL. And then with the pass rush that we have in front, it's a great defense. We have another question for you by Damian Lee. Says, I like that quarterback from Georgia, Santa Bennett for Arizona. What do you think about him? Do you think that you guys might go in that direction, knowing that you have Kyler Murray already on the roster?
One of the crazy things that I thought about was like, what if we bring over Sean Payton and his deal is like, I want to work with Levis, or I want to work with one of the top quarterbacks of this draft. So he pulls a Cliff Kingsbury and decides, yeah, we're just gonna move on from Kyler Murray instead. So they trade Kyler Murray for Sean Payton, and that's how we get it to keep our first round pick. Is we trade away our quarterback and draft another one. As far as Stetson, I gotta watch some film on him. I really don't watch a lot of college football. I wait till the season's over, and then I start doing, obviously for the draft, I start doing my assessment. So I had to look up some film on him, but I mean, I'm always good with drafting a developmental quarterback behind Kyler Murray. For the cases that Kyler Murray gets hurt again, because he's very injury prone.
Yeah, and I think honestly, depending who you guys bring in as a head coach would determine which direction they will go there. And just for the record, I'm glad that you guys did draft Kyler Murray, even though you guys drafted. I forgot his name, and now we all know now that that kid would have never done anything for any. I don't even know if he's in the league. The guys you took in the with the
Oh,
10th
Josh
overall,
Rosen.
yeah. And if he is, he's
Yeah,
definitely just a
I think he's
backup.
playing with the Browns.
Is he? So I'm glad you guys took Kyler Murray because again, you guys allowed us to take, and I say allowed because you had the first choice to get Nick Bosa, which Richard Sherman likes to call Nicholas James Bosa by his full name, which is I believe should win the Defensive Player of the Year by the way he has been playing. So let me ask you, let
Oh
me get
yeah.
your perspective as a Cardinal fan, based on what Bosa has done this year. Do you think that he's arguably should be the one that wins it?
Oh, 100%. Nick Bosa has just gone, his game has just gone just extremely, like, it's just taken a next step from his rookie year when he became a Pro Bowler all the way up to now that he's just a certified All Pro. Like, trust me, I look across to you guys all the time and I'm just like, oh man, we could have had him at number one overall. And what Cardinal fan would really argue with having Nick Bosa on our roster? I mean, we hired Billy Davis was his coach in college, so it almost seemed like that's the direction we were going to. And when people would bring up to me and they say, "Well, you want to really give Josh Rosen another year?" It's like, yeah, give him another year. If he sucks, that's a good thing because then we get a high pick in next year's draft. Then we have our pick of three quarterbacks in the first round: Justin Herbert, Tua, or even like what's Joe Burrow. I mean, who's going to argue with that? Joe Burrow and Nick Bosa, or Justin Herbert and Nick Bosa. I mean, anyways,
Yeah.
I 100% think he does deserve the Defensive Player of the Year. Like I said, I've kept up with his career personally. The guy has some massive legs, and that generates a lot of power, but like his athleticism is off the charts. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Bosa.
That's awesome. So we have another question for one of our viewers, Niner Gang, Wolfcast. What's up, Wolf? Good to see you, my friend. He says, which NFC rival do you despise the most? And be honest, just because you're a Niner, we want to hear your honest truth in this one.
That really just cycles. It was the Seahawks. So during the Ken Whisenhunt tenure, I hated the 49ers. And then it became the Seahawks during the Bruce Arians tenure, and then it became the Rams. And it's always usually the team that's always beaten up on my team, like bad. And the 49ers, actually, during the Ken Whisenhunt era, it wasn't like the 49ers were that bad. I just didn't like them. They wouldn't, we would go back to back. I don't think the 49ers got their grip at that time. They actually got their grip during the Bruce Arians years, but I could not stand the Seahawks at that time. It was mostly Richard Sherman. I could not stand him. I hated that guy. He talked way too damn much. Patrick Peterson was always, there were always some talks about who's the better cornerback, Patrick Peterson or Richard Sherman. I would always say Patrick. Of course, a lot of people would say it was Richard Sherman. And then it became the Rams when they hired Sean McVay. And actually, even before that, they dominated us in our house when they had Jeff Fisher as their head coach. And it just kept getting worse and it kept getting worse. And they landslid us. And of course, last year they won the Super Bowl. So the Rams are what I despise now. Thank God they're not that good anymore. I don't know what direction they're going to go, but they're definitely paying for everything that they done. Basically, they're paying for it now.
You know, let's stay on that topic for a minute. And I agree with the Rams that I don't like as well. I despise, and I love your answer because it's so true. Before I get to the point of the Rams, you despise the team that kind of beats on your team or has a better, that is always kind of dominating. Like for us, no matter what, Russell Wilson and the damn Seahawks, Pete Carroll is chewing cow, always chewing on the damn sidelines, just annoy the crap out of me because they would have our number, right? They would just, no matter what, whether they were good or not, they would just beat on us. Just like we have the number of the Rams. Now, the Rams, yeah, they beat us in the NFC Championship, but we beat ourselves in that game. Rams are not going to agree on that. That's fine. But if we would have caught that interception by Tart, that could have changed the whole game. Him dropping that, we can argue that the Niners kind of gave that game away. But we are dominant. This year, what did we do? Dominated them again. And this is why a lot of Rams fans, one in particular, particularly by the name of Rudy, that everybody knows, he says that Kyle Shanahan is not a better coach than Sean McVay. And I'm like, well, from a standpoint of the whole NFL, Sean McVay has won a Super Bowl, and you can't take that away from him. That is your ultimate goal. But between Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay facing each other, you can't argue that McVay is not the better coach. Kyle Shanahan has pretty much, I don't know how many games are in a row already. 9 games in a row that they beat in them in the regular season. That's a lot of games, you know what I mean? So I am with you on which team you dislike the most, depending on which team is hurting your team during the years of tenures of coaches. Now, getting back to the Rams, and I think you'll agree with me, the Rams sold out, kind of like they say, sold out their soul to the devil to get that ring. And they should be glad that they got that Super Bowl because they could be in a worse situation, but they mortgage their future. You know, the saying goes, you can kick the can down the road, but eventually it's going to come back and bite you. Matthew Stafford, they don't even know if he's going to come back, what his condition is. They got in Mayfield, but Mayfield, I don't know if he's a quarterback that can lead your team to another Super Bowl. And here comes, arguably, is Sean McVay going to stay? Is he going to go to the booth? Is Aaron Donald going to retire? They have so much dead money coming, Marcus, that even if they let go of players, they're going to be paying for years for that dead money, kicking down the can. So they don't have no first round picks. They give it all away. The first couple of rounds they're gone. So they can't fix their team that way. They can't go after top free agents because they don't have the money. So you tell me, Marcus, in your opinion, how does this team become effective and continue to compete if they can't bring in talent during the draft? They don't, at least not the top talent. They can hopefully get luck in the later rounds, but they can't bring free agents. They're hoping that they bring in those what do you call it? The Dollar Tree type of players that you can get at a discount. How can this team be any good for years to come the way they're right now financially, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, even though like the Rams are in somewhat of a cap hill, they still have the advantage of like being one of the top market teams. I learned that like there's some things that they can take advantage just based on like how much money your organization is actually worth. Like I think it's called cash. Um, Forgot what it was called, but it's basically like signing players in a way where you can like give them bigger bonuses or signing bonuses in order to be able to like not account for that against the cap, but still be able to make those big signs, which is exactly what they did. Which is another thing that I wanted to bring up is like the Cardinals were being criticized for not being aggressive during free agency, and most of the time it was because they were looking at the Rams. The Rams were like they signed Bobby Wagner, they got Robinson, Ashawn Rob. No, not Ashawn Robinson. They got Robinson, the wide receiver and
Allen
stuff.
Robinson, yeah.
They re-signed. Yeah, Allen Robinson. There you go. They re-signed well, Aaron Donald for like $1 billion or something. They should
Yeah.
have, but they re-signed him to a massive contract and stuff. They gave Matthew Stafford an extension, which oh my god, that doesn't look really good. That doesn't look good right about now.
Nope.
And then there was other like players that they extended as well and whatnot. And, altogether, it just looked like this team was looking to make not only a rebound, they were looking to like go back to the Super Bowl and actually dominate. Well, obviously now we see now they're paying for their sins in some ways because given those big contracts, still couldn't have kept this team in a position where they were actually just going to be able to even compete. They're like these guys. Well, we ended up going to their house and beating them for the second time in a row, but it was just like it was just like kind of like it was just sad because um our quarterback it was on Hard Knocks. He even mentioned that it was Colt McCoy at the time. He goes up to Sean McVay and says, "Hey, like four of our offensive linemen were missing," and he's all like, "Yeah, I know." And you guys had Aaron Donald on your guys' offense, on your guys' defensive line, and they couldn't harass us. So it was just kind of sad. And I'm like, yeah, look at where all those big signs came from. Allen Robinson has not looked like the guy that they were expecting. Bobby Wagner has had a solid year, but I'm not even sure if it's even a Pro Bowl S type of year. I'd have to really look at those numbers again. And Aaron Donald, I mean, Aaron Donald's Aaron Donald, but he can't get this team to like win games by himself. So they're paying for it. And before, what used to save him is the fact that they used to draft like talent in the second, third round, develop them, have them be solid players and be good contributors. But they had to let a lot of those players walk once they developed into the type of players that people wanted to sign, and they didn't have anybody else to like, replace them under there. And of course, now going into the future, they don't have any of the first rounders. So what they need to do is they need to do a fire sale. They just need to stop and they need to just quit on what they're doing. They're not going to be able to get themselves out of this hole. Have a fire sale. Obviously, I don't think Aaron Donald would play for any other team, so he'd probably retire before that. But you got to try to get your assets back, and you got to do it soon.
That's a very well said and great point there, Marcus. They do. They gotta give it those big contracts and do a fire sale. But again, that dead money. People always, because they want to go against the cap. They want to bring players. That dead money. at the end of the day, that comes back and bites you. And I think that's what's going to be one of their main falls is that dead money. They're going to have to be even these if Eric Donald retires, if Matthew Stafford retires, imagine Matthew Stafford if he retires, all that dead money on him that they're going to be paying for years, even though he's not on the roster, it's going to kill you, man. It's going to kill you eventually. As we conclude to our hour tonight, I wanted to ask you the last question of the night, and I wanted you to speak a little bit on J.J. Watt. As we all know, he announced his retirement. He will be retiring after this season. What has he meant to your organization and to you personally as a fan? Him as a player in general, and what he's done for your team.
Oh man, like I can't even like. There's it's hard to be able to put that in words because it's like it's not something that you can ever hope to replace and stuff. He's only played here for like 2 years, but in those 2 years, he's brought so much impact to his organization on the field and off the field. He's a true leader. I mean, I cannot even put together just how much like I honestly think these players, especially on the defensive side, they're actually playing hard and they're playing hard for him. I think that's the reality. I think like the type of stuff that you hear about him giving like a speech or something and just getting everybody fired up and then like what he does like so much he just does so much for us off the field like all the foundation, not the foundations, but like all the stuff that he partakes in and things that like in that Rams game, some guy lost his parlay because the refs blew the whistle on one of the fumbles that he could have recovered and taken for a score. So what does JJ Watt do? He pays that guy for what he lost out on. Like he's just he he's a good human being, and I think and this is what I hope. I think he chose to retire because he finally got to a place, and I hope that it's because he got here to Arizona, which is usually known like here in Phoenix and the surrounding cities. It's a like considered somewhat like a retirement place, because they have like everything's all expansive, the golf courses. It's just a calm area to be in, and I think what I'm hoping is that he, had his child here and he's saying, you know what, we're home. Like, I don't need to prove anything else. I had a fulfilling season. I have teammates who I love and whatnot, and who are playing hard and we're playing hard for each other and whatnot. I'm good, and of course he had that scare earlier in the season, which really it grabbed everybody when we heard about like how his heart went into like AFib and whatnot, and he had to be shocked back into it. And of course he has that press conference, which really pisses me off how bad our media is here. Instead of like the guy's opening up to you, and then there's a reporter saying like, "Oh, well, you did, force like an interception." I'm like, dude, he's opening up to you guys. Like, be there for him. Tell him how much he means to us because he does. So I wrote an article on him earlier this season. I'm working on writing an article after the season ends because I want to get all that film together. But like every single game, I just see impact. I see impact on the all 22 every single game. I see him impacting whether it is taking up space, two blockers because people have to double team him at the line of scrimmage, forcing a pressure to make a quarterback make a bad decision, throwing the ball away, or getting that sack because he has 10 and a half this season. Of course, he's gonna try to get a little bit more against you guys if he can, because that offensive line is really good. So I mean, I always think about that. But also just like what he does with like getting the players around him better. Zach Allen has made a big ascension since JJ Watt has been here, and I 100% would think that JJ Watt was a good part of that. And he just like I said, the only way you can see the amount of impact that he's done is if you're just watching him play by play and watching him what he does, how he picks up on reads, how he's able to like maneuver before the snap to put himself in a position to have a favorable like leverage on offensive lineman. He's special. I love the guy. I wish him like the best like going forth in life. I really hope he stays here. I really do. And JJ, if you ever see this podcast, um, if you saw a green car driving in a neighborhood, dropping off an Uber Eats order, and I was listening to the TRC podcast, the Cardinal Roll Course, and it was you who turned around. That was me. Like I thought, I thought I saw a 6'5" big guy walking with his wife, and he was holding a baby. If that was you, then uh, I'm just glad to even make it any type of present. So I'm just saying that just in case that was him who I did pass by.
Sorry about that. Now that works better. Wow,
Hmm.
that is so cool that you did that uh, and watched him. He is a big boy. I love
He's
it. I love
big.
him. I love his brother. What his brother's doing over there with the Steelers. These guys come from a great family, very respected men. They do what JJ is not only what he's done in the football for either Houston or for you guys, but as a man, what he's done for his cities that he's played for, the things that he did for Houston, especially in 2020 when the hurricane hit, everything he's put. I mean, this guy's just an amazing human being, and what he's done and the way he pours back into his community. I have nothing but the highest respect for him. With that said, though, and I say this with the most respect, I want him to have his worst game this Sunday. And I mean that with the most respect, JJ. I want you to have your worst game because um, there is no game in the NFL that is a cakewalk. I've been a fan for too long to believe that no matter, oh, we're going to go into this game and we're just going to kill the Cardinals. It's in any given Sunday. You never know what happens. You can fumble the ball 5 times. I mean, so many things in the rain can happen that doesn't go your way. So, and we don't need the added pressure of Mr. J.J. Watt trying to make a big impression as he exits out Levi's on his retirement. So I wish you the best, JJ. If you watch this video, I wish you the best with all your entrepreneurs, whatever you do, new endeavors, and so forth. Just not on Sunday, my friend. On Sunday, kind of take the day off, just kind of chill, and make Mike McClinchy look good for the playoffs. With that said, Marcus, it's been a pleasure and an honor having you as a guest on my channel. Hopefully, next season, I can bring you on when we talk Niners and Cardinals first game. And by then, there may be a lot of changes on your team, coaching wise, roster wise, that we can talk about as we face each other in 2023. But for today, I appreciate everybody that's tuned in, everyone that chatted, those that asked the questions. Thank you for asking your questions. Thank Marcus for answering them. Continue to support my channel by hitting the notification bell and subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. You can follow me on Twitter, on IG, on TikTok, Facebook, everything under Niners Sickness Podcast. And if you ever want to know anything about your opposing rival team, how can they find you, Marcus? Do you have a YouTube or Twitter? Or where can they find you if they want to know the scoop of the team, of their enemy, if you will?
Well, if you, I got a Twitter handle, of course. It's Pancake Soul at Pancake Soul. Two S's obviously, so it's like spell pancakes, and then after that you spell soul. That's it. Simple. You should be able to find me. If not, you can look under AZ Sports Underground. I am a writer for them. Writing like I write my articles not as often as I would like to, but I do more like longer, extensive articles, and I put a lot of all 22 in there. So if you guys are really interested in like checking it out, uh, give the website a visit. Or not, you can also follow me on Twitter. I cover all things that I can, Cardinals and stuff, and on rare occasions I'll cover other. Like I was thinking about making something about like D'Amico Ryans and his schemes. So maybe I'll have an article up and I will be covering his defensive scheme.
That is awesome. Definitely be looking forward to that. Once again, thank you everyone for popping in. Thank you for hanging out with us for a complete hour. I like to be honest, and I like to keep our guests to a minimum of an hour because I respect whatever they may have to do afterwards. With that said, thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. God bless. And remember, continue to send your positive prayers towards DeMar Hamilton as he continues to recover. Continue to send his love his way. I believe his family is feeling it and he's getting better. And that's great news, not just for the football world, but for him and his family. With that said, we'll see you on the next 49ers Sickness podcast. Peace.